Hello, everybody. Welcome to Townsend 505. My name is Nick. Welcome to the channel if you are new, or welcome back if you're an amazing subscriber. Today, me, Nick, Scott on the right, Jacob on the bottom left, and Jason on the bottom right. We will be covering the Rolling Stones' eighth album. Uh, this is technically a compilation, so I wouldn't say eighth studio album, but this is a compilation. Flowers. There's so much new material US wise that we kind of had to include it, you know.
Yeah.
What's your guys' brief thoughts on the album before we start reviewing the whole thing?
First off, the album cover is terrible. Oh, I don't know what the marketing person was thinking or whoever designed that. I'm like, let's Photoshop all the faces of the Rolling Stones and draw flowers around it. Like that represents the Rolling Stones.
Flower power.
The hippies, yeah.
For me, my brief thoughts on this before we go into it is I really like this album. It kind of needed to happen since we had some swapping around of tracks on some of the US versions of Aftermath, and Between the Buttons and those songs needed to have a home. My only complaint about this album is that we had lots of B-sides to choose from, more than 3 singles and B-sides that didn't get put on albums that we could have used instead of the repeat tracks Let's Spend the Night Together, Ruby Tuesday, and Lady Jane, which are all amazing songs, but I would honestly rather listen to those songs on Between the Buttons or Aftermath rather than hear them again on Flowers. I would rather gotten like Who's Driving Your Plane or Sad Day or 19th Nervous Breakdown over getting repeat tracks, but those are my only complaints.
Yeah, it's interesting when I first went to the Rolling Stones because I'm doing a deep dive on them. I did a first part. I need to finish with the second part. But first part kind of was all their albums up to 68 or so, 69, somewhere in there. But the thing I didn't know when I first started listening to Rolling Stones is that there's a UK and US, version of albums and stuff. And so I was going through on Spotify, and I was hitting all these albums, and it was kind of getting confusing because it's like, what the heck? Like I just, heard these songs on another album or, and then I found out I had to, differentiate the UK and the US stuff. And while I was listening to it and I got to this album, Flowers, and I think I commented to everybody, I finally found an album I liked, because up to that point, I was not liking any of these Rolling Stones albums. I was like, there's a couple good songs on an album, and then the rest are just, junk songs to me. And then I got the Flowers, and I thought, wow, these are really good songs. Like, this is an actual good album. Like, I'm impressed. And then I found out this is like a US version, and they don't have it in the UK. And so when I did my deep dive, I only listened to the UK albums. I decided I'm just going to pick a country and go with that country instead of having to try to mix and match US and UK. So I went through all the UK stuff, and Flowers isn't in the UK stuff. And so it's interesting to come to this. You guys are going through the US stuff, so you've heard some of these songs already. But going through the UK stuff, like we didn't have Ruby Tuesday on an album, and a lot of the stuff we don't have on the album. So to me, it's like such a pleasure to get to this album and go, man, this is one, I don't know, I shouldn't give my views yet, I guess, but this just really impressed me when I was going through the Rolling Stones. And as far as the early stuff, I feel like maybe this is like early Rolling, I don't know what you guys think. I consider it's kind of like early Rolling Stones, and then once you get to 1970, it's like another era, I guess, of Rolling Stones. But of the early Rolling Stones era, man, this is like the tops for me.
For me, it's UK for Beatles, US for Stones. Also,
Right.
This is the last time that there's going to be a difference. From this point onward, there are not going to be any differences in the versions, thankfully.
So, yeah, with me, terrible album cover aside, joking about that. I think this is a good album. I do think it's a step down from their last 2 albums. I really loved Aftermath and Between the Buttons.
Mm-hmm.
That's my 2 favorite Stones albums so far. Still some good stuff on here. I think having the repeated songs really knocked my score down quite a bit. And one song on this album I really didn't like, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
Okay.
But
I think I know what it is.
all around, it's a solid album.
That one.
No, I know what.
There's another one that's.
Oh,
No.
good.
No.
Thankfully, good. Because I like that song.
I say don't say it. Well, my thoughts on the album. This is a really good compilation album. This could have been a really great studio album had they put if there was no repeats. Having that said, this is a awesome collection of songs. They did a pretty good job. Not non-repeats aside. There is one thing I don't like about it, and we will go into it. The certain thing I kind of like, but like the placement of it, I'm not a fan of. This is a great album. Really excited to go through this. And I'm glad Jason was able to join us on this episode. So we get to the first track on the album. This was from their Between the Buttons album, the US one. That is Ruby Tuesday. Who's going to go first?
All right, who wants to go first? You want me to, or do you want to?
Once we get an order down, we'll keep it at that order.
All right. I guess I'll go first.
Okay.
Well, I'm not going to say much on this because you can watch the Between the Buttons video where I talk about Ruby Tuesday. And much like on the review me and Nick did on the Johnny Cash series, I'm not going to include the repeats on my ranking because I want to represent the songs that are on this album that belong on this album, and they're not just the repeats. But Ruby Tuesday is an amazing song. It was one of my favorite songs from Between the Buttons. I think it was like in my top 3 songs from that album. Great song in general. Really good mix between the Baroque pop stuff that the Stones were doing mixed with the psychedelic type stuff they were experimenting on the Between the Buttons album. And yeah, I think it's one of the best songs they put out in that decade. I really think it's a great song.
Much like Jacob, I am not going to be including any of the repeat songs in my top 5. If you'd like to hear my thoughts on the repeat songs in depth, watch the original reviews for Aftermath and Between the Buttons. All I'm going to say right now is Ruby Tuesday is an amazing song. And it's a good opener, but I really wish that we would have opened this with a song that we hadn't heard yet. Perhaps Mother's Little Helper, maybe, or maybe like 19th Nervous. You know what? 19th Nervous Breakdown would be a really great way to open this album.
Yeah.
Sad that wasn't on here.
I created a Jacob cut of Flowers on Spotify, and I put Sad Day as the opener.
That's a good one.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm one that I can put all these songs in my top 5 because I didn't. These aren't repeats for me. Ruby Tuesday, man, what a way to start your album with one of the greatest Rolling Stones songs I think of all time. I love this song. I've always loved the song. It's always been a top one for me. And it's like Rolling Stones are known for like their bluesy rock stuff, which I'm not a fan of, but man, I it's cool that they can prove themselves that they can write like a cool like pop ballad like this and do a great job at it, where I'm like kind of impressed. I'm like, wow, they can write something like this. Like this is a little more towards my alley, I guess, than some of their other stuff. And it's just so the melody's so great. Love the verses, even with Mick Jagger. Mick Jagger, I always complain about his vocals, and I think he's good on this song. And I love the flute. There's like this flute that goes throughout. It's like, throughout the verses like that. And I can't do the impression of it, but I absolutely love the flute. I think it's a flute. I'm guessing it's like a flute or something that's going on. In the recorder. Okay.
The recorder.
I love
Brian
the
Jones.
recorders. in the background throughout the thing, just kind of fluttering around. And it's like, oh man, I love that sound. That's so cool. And there's some other good instruments. Like there sounds like there's maybe a cello in there. I don't know if there's other instruments in there. I'm just like, I don't know. That is a cool sound and instrument in there. So I love I think there's a cool piano in there. It's like everything just production wise, just fantastic. And then you get to one of the best choruses of all time, I think, with that hitting that drums, goodbye, Ruby. You know, it's like, how can you not sing along? Like I sing along every time I hear the song. It's such a great sing along song. And then it goes right back to the verses where it kind of tones it back down. And to me, it's just it's a contender for probably my favorite Rolling Stones song. And now we're gonna get to Nick, who's gonna say the exact opposite.
Yeah, I don't hate it. It's not a bad song. If I didn't like it, my score for Between the Buttons wouldn't be a 10 out of 10.
As long as he doesn't bring out the garbage can.
I have a garbage can, but not the Rangers one. But I'm not bringing it out. Just like how I felt with Between the Buttons, the song isn't one of my favorites. I never cared for it that much. It reminds me too much of the Beatles. I felt like they were trying to be like the Beatles, and I'm like, please don't. Just like when the Beatles were trying to be like the Stones in the R&B, I'm like, don't do that. Don't do that, guys. But when the Stones do it, I'm like, I'm not just like, watch Jacob's video. When I was on Jacob's video with the Beatles, I was kind of giving them criticisms for trying to do the R&B stuff. I'll admit I'm kind of doing the same thing with the Stones, you know, like stick with your one main thing, and I don't like it when the Stones do this kind of thing. It just feels too much like a Beatles song. This and another song on the next album called "She's a Rainbow." Those two songs I never cared for. They're too Beatle-y for me.
Maybe that's why I like it so much.
Like, be the Stone.
Like, stop being the Stones, be the Beatles, then I'm liking you.
It's funny. Rather than that, I think it works better on this album than Between the Buttons. Between the Buttons, it felt way too out of place.
It didn't open for that one, did it?
It was track 3.
Yeah, track 3.
Okay.
Let's spend the night
interesting,
together open Between the Buttons.
Interesting they opened it with, this is their biggest song, right, on the album, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
And so that's why they opened it. They're like, let's open with the big one, I guess.
Because Let's Spend the Night Together was originally the A side, but then the other Ruby Tuesday got played a lot. And
Ruby Tuesday got played more just because I guess parents weren't as upset about the lyrics to Ruby Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah.
My criticisms aside, I think the instrumentation's really good. I agree with Jason. Mick Jagger's doing a great job on vocals. I just don't think this is their style. They go for so many different styles throughout their career. I just happen to not like it when they do this kind of style. Thankfully, they only do it on the 2 songs, this and She's a Rainbow. Thankfully, they don't do it anymore, or else, yeah. I'm just glad they did with just 2 tracks. Now I get to the next song on the album. Try saying this one 3 times. Have you seen Your Mother, Baby, Standing in the Shadow?
Okay, this song. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this one. I listened to it twice and tried to see what the fuss is about. There's a cool horn section on it. For some reason, the production didn't really work for me on this song. It seemed like they were trying to do so many things crammed all at once in a 2-minute song. And I don't hate it. I just don't think it worked in its ambition. And it's my second to least favorite song on the album. I'm not fully calling it garbage, though, because they were trying to do something cool. But I just don't think it worked. Ooh, Scott.
Did Scott leave?
What happened to Scotty?
Oh, man. And he was next on the...
He has some internet issues. I guess you like the song, Jason?
I kind of agree with you, Jacob. I'm kind of glad you kind of said that, because I would hate for everybody to love the song, and I'd be like the one to be like, I'm not a big fan of this one. The only thing I'll say, I think it's the heaviest song on the album, like guitar wise. It kind of has a heavy guitar, which is kind of cool. I was like, that's kind of cool, heavy guitar or whatever. But it just felt kind of chaotic to me, and that's why I felt like you were saying a little bit, Jacob. I don't know, it's just something about it. It just wasn't smooth, and I don't know. Yeah, and it just wasn't that catchy or memorable. And it just, yeah, I think it's probably my least favorite, to be honest.
I might be the only one who actually really likes this.
I said you have it
song.
on your name. Yeah.
Yeah, this is really, I don't know, it's just so chaotic, and I love that about it.
Uh-huh.
It opens up, and then you got all that weird horn section, and then they just come like, have you seen your mother, baby, standing in the shadow? I'm like, what the heck is this? This is one of the weirdest things I've heard the Rolling Stones do, and yet it's amazing. Yeah, it's a little odd, it's chaotic, but I don't know, there's kind of a charm to it that I really like.
You're on mute.
You're on mute.
This is a really good song. This is I love the chaotic nature of it. Much better than the last track, in my opinion. A lot more creative. It sounds like when the last track, I feel like they were going for a psychedelic feel, but it feels like they're trying to be like the Beatles. This track, it's psychedelic in the Rolling Stones kind of way. It feels like the Stones are doing it, and I just think the song's awesome. We'll say this did not make my top 5. I really wanted it to, but didn't make my top 5. Which I think Scott might be the only one who has it in his top 5. Who knows?
Maybe, we'll see.
Now we get to the second repeat track from the Between the Buttons album. Interesting enough, this is the opening to the Between the Buttons album, and now it's the third track on this album. And in the Between the Buttons album, this Let's Spend the Night Together is the opening track, and Ruby Tuesday is the third track. It was like a little swap. What do you think about this track, guys?
Well, again, I'll keep it brief. You can watch our video on Between the Buttons where I share more thoughts on the song. Pretty catchy song. I love the piano part. Some good harmonies on the song. Feels like a Beach Boys track with a little bit of edge to it that the Rolling Stones make their own. Pretty memorable song all around.
Yeah, check out the Between the Buttons review if you want my full opinion. But this is a groovy song. I like Ian Stewart's piano. It's a rocker. I like it, but shouldn't be on this album.
Yeah, it fits so much better on Between the Buttons.
I think, in my opinion, I feel like it hits better on this album, but I'll let Jason give his thoughts on that first, though.
I really like this song. I thought it was a really good, catchy song. I love the beginning part, and I just love that chorus of "Let's spend the night together." It's just really, really good stuff. And I really like the backing vocals. I don't think about the backing vocals that often when I think about the Stones. I mean, you think of backing vocals, I think more of the Beatles and Beach Boys, as you said, and other bands like that. And not the Stones as much, but I like it when they do it here. I think they do a real good job. This is like my style of the Rolling Stones. This early 60s, not early, but this 60s style. I don't know. This is this British rock 60s style that I really like. That I stuff like this, and Get Off My Cloud, and I'm forgetting songs. Paint It Black, and I don't know. There's this style that they do that I'm like into, and this album has it. And this is one of the songs that really, I think, plays to that. What I really like about them.
Well, I think the song's amazing. Bar none, this song is great. It's much better on this album. As Between the Buttons, I feel like that song's way out of place. It feels so much different than the other songs on the album, which. It did make my top 5 on that album, but man, this is such a great song. I will say the three. It's funny. The 3 songs that are on this album that are repeat tracks didn't make it on my top 5 in that video, and these songs don't make it on my top 5 on this album either. Going to what Jacob was and Scott were saying, like. The only way I would not put a repeat track on my top 5 is if it was already on my top 5. But yeah, this song also doesn't make my top 5 either. It didn't make it on the last video, and it's not making it this one either. But that doesn't mean I don't like it. This is an amazing track. Going back to what Jason was saying about the backing vocals, this is what you expect like a Beach Boys song to be, a Holly song. It is just like I love the harmonies on it. The Rolling Stones and the Kinks, they're not really known for being a harmony band, but when they do get it right, it's pretty good. Like this and Waterloo Sunset by the Kinks were just two perfect examples of sometimes they can get it right. But yeah, this is a great song though. But now we reach the next track on the album, which is from the US Aftermath, and the UK Aftermath, and it has Lady Jane.
All right. Again, I'll keep this one brief. Go to the Aftermath video to hear my full thoughts on it. This was my favorite song on Aftermath.
Oh, okay.
I don't think this song fits on Flowers, but I do think it's an amazing song. I love the Baroque style on it. I love I think it's called the dulcimer, I think is the name of the instrument that Brian Jones plays on the track. And I think it's one of their most beautiful songs, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is an amazing song on Aftermath. Here it's just a slap in the face that they couldn't have put any new music on. I mean, I guess for nowadays, back then, people probably were just like, oh, hey, I know that song. I want to buy this album so I can get Let's Spend the Night Together and Lady Jane and Ruby Tuesday all on the same album. Plus these amazing new selections. But nowadays it's like, come on, we could use some new songs here. But still love the song. Great Baroque feel. It's good.
Sad Day, Long, Long While. They would have fit better on this album.
Yeah.
Even Who's You Driving Your Plane.
And that song too.
I'll let you guys continue.
Right.
It's funny. I'm approaching this album, I feel like, in a whole different way than you guys, because I'm approaching it as like a single entity of an album, and I'm loving these songs, and you guys are like looking at it as we've already heard these songs, and so it hurts you guys. I guess it doesn't hurt me at all, though. It doesn't affect my score or what I think about these songs, and I don't know what I don't know what it means. It belongs in this album, doesn't belong in this album. A good song is a good song. I'm not into that mindset. I don't understand. But people say that all the time, and I never understand. I'm like, whatever. I can tell you I like the song, and you can put on whatever. You put on Black Sabbath for all I care, and I'll say it's a great Black Sabbath song or something, whatever. But I agree with you guys. Lady Jane, I really like the song, and it's, again, Rolling Stones. I don't think of them as ballad type band. I think more like these rock blues type stuff, and then they pull something like Ruby Tuesday and Lady Jane, and you're like, holy cow! Like they can do ballads too. Like I said, I think of the great ballad bands of like the Beatles and the Beach Boys and all that, and then like the Rolling Stones can do it pretty well too when they want to. And I think this is the most beautiful song on the album. Yeah, it's very pretty. Love the acoustic guitars on it. I really liked it.
I'm glad you view it that way, Jason. It's just like it's just a great song on an album, I'm kind of the same way for Lady Jane. I feel like it fits on both albums. It's great. It's a great story ballad. I think it works on both albums. Would it have been nice to have a song that wasn't released yet? Yeah, but this is a really good song. If you want to hear my in-depth thoughts on it, go to the Aftermath review. I hate that like the three of us couldn't say much more. I know Jason, for the repeat tracks, Jason's the only one who's really saying a lot, but that's kind of what you get.
That's the unfortunate part of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Is they already did this songs on another album.
Just wait till we get to the next one, though. I got lots of things to say about the next one.
Yes. This is another great song. Now we get to the next track on the album, Out of Time.
All right. The first song that's not a repeat, I can say is a really great song. I'd never heard this song before listening to the album. I think it's a really cool song. I really like the use of the xylophone on this track, played by Brian Jones, the secret sauce to this era of the band. I think it's a catchy song. It's got a really good chorus. Baby, 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 you're damn. This is one of those songs I'm surprised it wasn't a hit, because I think this could have
Yeah.
complimented something along the lines of, I can't get no satisfaction. Obviously, I don't think it's as good as that song, but I think it's one of the better songs on this album. It's definitely in my top 5.
This song is amazing. I love like Jacob was talking about that xylophone, vibraphone, or whatever it is that opens it up. Brian Jones is playing. That's what I really like about this era of the Rolling Stones, is how Brian Jones likes to play all these different instruments and add all these new sounds to the sound of the Rolling Stones, which is changing pretty much every album. It's going to change even more on the next album, but we'll get to that. But this is just an amazing song. I love the catchiness of the chorus. It's kind of reminiscent of Under My Thumb. I know it was recorded around the same time as Under My Thumb, but kind of has kind of the same vibe that I used to call it edgy pet sounds, but it's kind of the vibe I get from that song, and it may or may not be in my top 5. I still have to make a decision, because there's lots of great songs on it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. This is a really good song on here. Another really good one. I feel like these first 5 songs, they haven't had too many, only maybe one that I didn't care for, but pretty strong for the first 5 songs. It's like a pretty strong start to this album, where I'm like, wow, like all these songs are really hitting. And most of the Rolling Stones albums I listen to, I get maybe 1 or 2 I'm like really like, and then I get some I'm like, I didn't really care for that. So right now I'm like, wow, I'm really into this album, and this is one of the best songs on the album. Like Jacob was saying, man, that chorus is just so catchy, so good. Love the vocal work there. Love everybody singing together on there. Yeah, like I said, it's like this should be like a big hit for them. To me, I would love it if it was on the radio. I never heard it on the radio, but I don't know why not.
I freaking love this song. This is originally recorded for the Aftermath album. This was on the Aftermath album, the UK version, but was taken out. It was one of 3 songs that was taken. Well, one of 4 songs that was taken out of the album.
Okay.
And it's really sad, because this is easily the best song that was recorded around that Aftermath time. I'm like, well, it's one of the best songs. Well, this is easily the best song on the Aftermath album, US and UK. If you combine all the tracks, it's a great song, so catchy. My biggest problem though is that they cut it down from. It's like a minute shorter than it is. It's
okay.
They take out the part where they were like.
It says edit version on Spotify, I think.
They take out the end where they're chorus at the end, and to me, I don't like that. I think the full version is perfect.
Yeah.
This is definitely one of those songs that I really love from the Aftermath period, and I'm really upset that this wasn't on the Aftermath album, but I am happy it is on this album though. And for the most part, I will say, going back to what Scott was saying, US Rolling Stones, UK Beatles, I'd say I'm for the most part US Rolling Stones, but with the Aftermath and Between the Buttons albums, I much prefer the UK versions, because around that time they started becoming an album band, and at this point, adding those big hit singles to me was pointless. To me, it was just for more record sales at that time, not really more to make the album better. So, I think this song's way better than Painted Black. I don't think Painted Black belonged on Aftermath. I love Painted Black. Don't get me wrong, that song's awesome, but man, this song is way better. It's more technical. It fits the theme of Aftermath a lot more. But yeah, this is a really good song on the album. I'm glad the U.S. audience did get to experience this song because, man, this definitely a big highlight on the album. Now we get to the end of side one.
All right. This is a big one.
Yep, it's the big one. My Girl.
My Girl. Well,
Not original.
I'm gonna pull a Nick on this one.
There it is.
This cover is garbage. It's garbage. I did not enjoy this song. Take that back. I love this song when it's sung by the Temptations. When it's sung by the Rolling Stones, it does not work. Mick Jagger is no whoever sings
David
it on the Temptations.
David Ruffin.
David Ruffin. He's not David Ruffin. The minor keys do not fit this song at all. He even tries doing a falsetto on this song, and it's so off key that it's so bad. It's like, I get no. So no. If you can't do a falsetto, don't even try it. Just no. I did not enjoy this. Worst song on the album. I'm done.
Oh boy, if you don't like Mick Jagger's falsetto, then you ain't gonna like Emotional Rescue. Yeah, you know when I said earlier my only complaint is about the repeat songs? I lied. This song is awful. Not the song itself, but this particular cover of it. It's like you have all these psychedelic experimental songs that the Stones are doing when they're playing around with all this odd instrumentation, and then you get a cover of an R&B song. It's like, what the heck? This does not fit the album at all. This is very out of left field. This should have been regulated to a B-side, maybe. Like, it's not good enough to put on this album.
Yeah, it reminds me of the first two. I want to say the first two Rolling Stones albums were all like cover songs like this, covering good songs by other people. But yet, I never feel like the Rolling Stones do as good of a job as the originals. Like, you know, and it's always hard when you take a really good song and you cover it and you don't do as good of a job, you know, and it just makes the song worse in some ways. You know what I mean? Like, there's like, man, why did you know, if you're gonna do it, you want to get like a twist and shout from the Beatles. You know, you want to get something where you're like, okay, that was a good, version of this. Yeah, My Girl, I don't hate it as much as you guys, I don't think, just because I still love the melody of My Girl, and there's some good stuff there. Obviously, yeah, it's one of the great, Motown songs, and, it's definitely better with the Temptations, no doubt about it. But I don't hate it, but yeah, I can kind of see what you guys are saying.
It's at least better than Michael Jackson's cover of this song.
Oh yeah, that version is awful. That version was so bad I had to skip it.
I know Jacob.
I actually would rather listen to Michael Jackson's cover.
Okay.
Oh wow. I listened to
at least Michael still has soul in it.
I listened.
Jagger does not.
I listened to Flowers today, and I listened like 10 seconds of this song and skipped it.
What they call them? Rolling Stones, Classic Soul, or something like that. And then the Beatles called themselves Rubber Soul.
Okay. I think this is a good version of the song. I strongly disagree with Scott and Jacob.
Wow.
It surprises me, though, that Jacob hates his version so much, but really enjoys the Mr. Moonlight cover by the Beatles. That version is. It's so bad. I can't wrap my head around him liking that, but not
Hold
this.
up, we haven't done the Beatles review yet.
I was gonna say, wait a minute, have we reviewed that?
Well, I'm not.
I
Tell
like Mr. Moonlight.
just I don't get it. This isn't the best song that they ever made. It's easily the weakest song on the album. I didn't hear what Scott said.
I said, I'll Follow the Sun is a masterpiece.
Yeah, that song is also awful. I don't want to go more depth on Beatles for sale because they mentioned we didn't review it yet.
We'll get the chance.
I just had to say that because he hates this version so much, but likes Mr. Moonlight. No, it's just this is a friendly disagreement there. I personally don't get it, but I don't know. I think John Lennon does R&B horribly, especially in the early period. He needs to shut his mouth. The only time he did it right, kind of, was "Please, Mr. Postman" and "Twist and Shout." Rather than that, he's not the best at R&B. Again, this is definitely the weakest song on the album, though. But I enjoy it. Jason said it perfectly. It has a good medley,
Melody.
melody.
Yeah.
Medley's combining songs together.
Now,
Yeah.
I heard this was recorded for Out of Our Heads. Would you have rather had this other than all right, all right, all right? That's the question.
Actually, this is actually recorded for the Aftermath album. This is recorded for that album, but they ended up deciding to keep it off just so they could have original material.
Oh, man. If this song was on Aftermath, I would drop the score down drastically.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a 10.
out of 10
That
album.
would stick out like a sore under my thumb.
I'm in agreement. This is definitely the weakest thing recorded around the album. It's funny, we go from having like one of the best songs from the Aftermath period, Out of Time,
Yeah.
to definitely the weakest song from the Aftermath period. I don't hate it nearly as much as Scott and Jacob do. I always find myself enjoying this version, but I don't find myself ever seeking it out. Like,
Right. Yeah.
Out of Time, I seek that out. Songs like "Let's Spend the Night Together" I seek out. "Lady Jane" I like to seek out. "Bye Girl" I listen to in the context of the album. That's it. I don't listen to it after that. I just like, okay, this is an okay version. Let's just get to the next track already. But I don't hate it though. I don't get why this version's hated so much. But trust me, you could tear me apart when I trash Mr. Moonlight, and you'd be like, I don't get how you could like my girl but not this. That'll be like a taste of my own medicine, which is fair enough. But yeah, this version, it's not the best, but man, you can't beat the Temptations version. Their version is just so much better. That and "You Really Got a Hold on Me." Those two, they just know how to do a really good R&B song. Temptations. Yeah. But my girl aside, flip the record over.
No, you're the only one who has.
I said you're the only one.
I need to get it. I want this one. There's a lot of Rolling Stones albums. Here, hold on a second. I know I've got one here. There we go.
Let it bleed.
There we go.
I guess we're reviewing "Let It Be Bleed." I'm just kidding.
Let It Be. The Rolling Stones. Oh yeah, look, there's a Rolling Stones album. And then on the other side, well, we all need someone we can be on.
We get "Backstreet Girl."
This is an okay track. This wasn't my top 5 at one point. I knocked it down to honorable mention, and the main reason why, I was listening to the song again before going live, and I'm like, I like that we're doing the acoustic, folksy, Baroque style song again, but I feel like this song and "Lady Jane" are too similar. And I'm going to go back to "Lady Jane" more because it's more amazing. This one just feels stale in comparison to the other song, but it's an all right track. What's funny is I read Mick Jagger, because I read this was on the UK version of "Between the Buttons," and Mick Jagger said he hates that album. He said the one song he likes on that album, well, the UK album, is "Backstreet Girl," and I'm like, huh. You don't like Miss Amanda Jones? That song is amazing.
Just straight up rock and roll right there.
Oh, really? But yeah, this one's all right.
I'm gonna have a bit of a different opinion. For me, this song and another song are the two biggest reasons to buy this album. this is one of my favorite songs on the album. Actually, I forgot how good it was till I re-listened to it. I like the acoustic guitar on there. Very lovely song. Melody is great. I love the "Please won't be my backstreet girl" or however that section goes. The melody. Doom, 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 boom, boom, doom, boom, boom, boom. I like that. I just like the kind of more laid back feel of it. The Rolling Stones this period are doing some pretty good ballads with like Ruby Tuesday and Lady Jane in this. As Tears Go By. Although it's interesting that they had to repeat a few of them, but just probably why Jacob didn't like it as much, because you got a contrast of Lady Jane, and then you got this song later on here. But I think this song is amazing. Now, I will say I do prefer listening to this song here on Flowers. I've actually never listened to the UK Between the Buttons album, but I would rather have Ruby Tuesday on Between the Buttons and Backstreet Girl on Flowers with different songs. I would have rather had different songs, but we just won't say that again because I've voiced that opinion enough.
Yeah, I really like the song. I thought it was a great song. I'm really loving these more pop ballads type songs, like Ruby Tuesday, like Lady Jane, like this song. They're all kind of similar, yeah, I guess in a way to me, and I love it. Yeah, and it's my favorite stuff on the album, to be honest. And it's unusual, like I said. I don't usually think of Rolling Stones as these kind of more ballad type songs, and yeah, he does a really good job here. Like I said, yeah, I love that. Some bum 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 girl, like how he says that. Bum 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 world. Like, I love how he sings it and the phrasing and everything. It's just so good. Yeah, great melody. And it sounds like there's an accordion in there. I love it. Like there's like accordion sound, I think, and I'm like, man, that is such a nice touch to this. I love all the different instruments that they've on some of these songs, ballads. I love the bringing in some different stuff like that and really elevates the song, I think. And yeah, this is one. Yeah, definitely. After I heard this one, I was like definitely singing along and like repeating this one on the album.
Tyler says, hello there.
Hey, I've got somebody.
Hello, Tyler.
General Kenobi.
Glad to see that Jason's doing okay.
Yeah, I'm making it. I'm eating a lot of canned goods right now because I don't got anything in the refrigerator.
He's keeping on Googling.
Keep on shooting.
My opinion on this song, I completely agree with you, Scott and Jason. This song is awesome. Made my top 5. This is my favorite song from the Between the Buttons album, UK wise. I'm have to disagree with you, Scott. I think the UK Between the Buttons is way better. It showcases that they can make a perfect album without needing any singles, which is on the contrary to Out of Our Heads. I think that album needed the singles. I think Between the Buttons is perfect because it shows that they're kind of getting away from that single-orientedness and that, you know, they could be in the likes of like The Who and the Beatles and, you know, the Kinks with making great albums without having to need that big single on it. Going back to what I was saying, Let's Spend the Night Together, Ruby Tuesday don't work at all. With Between the Buttons, I think they work much better on this album. That's why, to be honest, when I heard Between the Buttons with Scott and Jacob, that was the first time I've heard that album in a long, long time. I always listen to the UK version, and yeah, this is, to me, easily the best song on Between the Buttons. It's just a pretty ballad. I love the lyrics, the witty lyrics. This kind of reminds me of something that would be on Beggar's Banquet, with like, you know, songs like Sympathy for the Devil and like Jigsaw Puzzle. I've always loved this song. This song is phenomenal. I will say it does work better on Between the Buttons more than it does on this album, but I'm not going to dock points off of it. It's just a great song. It works on this album pretty good, but man, on Between the Buttons, it just works so much better. After My Obsession, you get that awesome jam session on My Obsession, and end it, and then you get this song. I think it works way better on the UK version of Between the Buttons. But that's about it. Awesome song. You get to the next track on the album, Please Go Home.
Yeah, this is another song where I'm like, it's all right. I think, like, Have You Seen Your Mother, Baby? I think this song is a little chaotic. I think I like this one better than the other song. I think it's got a more memorable groove to it than the other song. I think the thing that I found the most interesting about this is you hear the production with like the percussion and the way the song's structured. I'm like, is this song the prototype for what they would later do with Sympathy for the Devil? I don't know if anyone else felt that when listening to this song, but that's what it reminded me of. But I guess that's cool, I guess. Not one of my favorites, but it's an okay song.
I actually really like this song. It's definitely the most rocking song on the album. I like the groove, and I love the echo effects that they use. It reminds me a lot of Paperback Writer, the echo effects on here. Very trippy. Very good, especially coming right after the slower Backstreet Girl. You got a nice ballad, and then you got a nice up-tempo rocker with really cool echo effects. So I like this one.
Yeah, I liked it too. Like I said, yeah, I love that we get an upbeat song after the last one. I love the last one, and then I love the contrast of getting this upbeat rock song. Still very catchy. Like the Stones, like I said, I don't know what's the deal with this album. They put all their catchy stuff on this album or something. Because I'm like, because most other Rolling Stones albums, I'm not like into it as much, but this one, I'm just like, man, this is good, catchy stuff. Even the lesser known stuff, I'm still like not hating. I'm just like, man, this is still not bad stuff here. And yeah, the Please Go Home, whatever. Like it's really not really pretty good. Also, I thought the drums were really good on this. Maybe because it's upbeat. I really noticed the drums more on this song, where I was like, yeah, I'm really liking the drum beats on here. But yeah. It's maybe not towards the top half of the album, but yet I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good.
Cool. Yeah, Matt the Group, Scott and Jason. This is an amazing song. This works again, I'm gonna say it, I think this works way better on the UK Between the Buttons album. I think them getting rid of those two songs was a huge mistake. I feel like if they would have taken out Something Happened to Me Yesterday and another song that's towards the bottom of my list on the UK version and put in the singles, maybe it kind of would have worked. But man, I'm gonna say it. I think the singles on Between the Buttons are. I love Let's Spend the Night Together. I'm not gonna say I don't like that song, but I don't think it belongs on Between the Buttons. If this song does, it shows again their creativity. I really, really love the sort of Bo Diddley sort of influence on it. Showing that it's like it's a tinge of psychedelicness and their early days in the early 60s with that drum beat and the sort of like something that Bo Diddley would do. But like if it was psychedelic, I think that works really, really well. Really, really cool. Again, like I said, to me, whenever I listen to the song, it's usually on the Between the Buttons album. It works on this album too, but man, to me, the full effect of these two songs we're talking about is much better on Between the Buttons because it works so much better with those songs, in my opinion. I'm not gonna say I dislike the US Between the Buttons, but to me, they butchered it.
I disagree. I was just looking at the track listing. They put My Obsession way too early.
I think it works better
on the second side.
I think it works better early. Yeah, that's gonna be one where we heavily disagree on. Same with the disagreements on Rubber Soul, which we'll get to that.
I'm either way on Rubber Soul. I like both versions.
I used to be either way for the Between the Buttons, but I've grown more and more to the UK version that to me I can't listen to the last one anymore. If I want to listen to the two big hits from that album, I usually go to this album. For me, that is. Next song on the album, we get Mother's Little Helper.
All right, now we're back to great Rolling Stones again. This is actually my favorite song on this album.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I actually do really like this one. I think it starts off with a good opening hook. What a drag when you're growing old. And then it tells almost this satirical story of this depressed mother that's relying on drugs to get by. It's played in more of a satirical style, but then the more the story goes on, I'm like, I know they're trying to do some like satire on this, but this is kind of a sad story if you think about it, because it ends in an overdose. I'm like, oh wow, yeah.
Jeez.
So don't do drugs. The moral of the
No.
story. But yeah, you got some good production on here. Especially like I think Brian Jones. I think he does the part and does this cool sound on the guitar that almost makes it sound like a sitar, where it's like. I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. It makes the song stand out. Some good storytelling behind the song. Surprised no one in the country music field ever covered this song. So I think this could have been a good country song. But yeah, I think this is a fantastic song. I read it was originally on Aftermath. I think it could have fit on the U.S. Aftermath because this was one of the songs that wasn't on the U.S. But I think it's one of the highlights from this album for sure.
Thankfully, she doesn't actually overdose. It's just the doctor is telling her not to take any more of those. But yeah, this song is absolutely amazing. This should have been the opening to this album, other than Ruby Tuesday. Like when I hear this, I'm like, why is this so far in the album? Like I'm expecting this to be the first track, because this has album opener written all over it. I love how it starts with "What a drag it is getting old," and then Brian Jones's guitar playing on here is amazing. I love the heavy chorus effect that's put on the guitars that would give it that warbly sound. And it's very catchy. I like kind of the more frantic sounding verses, and then you got kind of a more peppy chorus with "There you go running for the shelter of your mother's little help," and then it goes like a boom 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 boom. Things are different today. I hear every mother say da 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 da. And it's interesting comparing this to other Rolling Stones songs at the time, because a lot of people are like, "Oh, the Rolling Stones just hate women. You're under my thumb and stupid girl."
Yeah.
At the same time, they made this song, which is sympathizing with housewives, how sometimes people expect them to do so much and they have to use drugs or whatever to keep up with all that. And it's like Mick Jagger's commentary about that. So I really enjoy this song. And once again, this should have 100% been the opener to this album.
Yeah, I agree. It's a really good song. If I remember right, this was on the Between the Buttons, I think.
Aftermath. The UK Aftermath.
Aftermath. Okay. And I remember it's being one of my favorite songs off of that album. So, yeah, definitely when I got this, I was like, oh, yeah, I knew I'm going to like this song because I remember liking it before. So, I totally agree with you guys on it. Really good. Love the beat of the song, I guess, and very catchy. And, yeah, it's just another really good, I think, Rolling Stones song.
I'm in full agreement with you guys. This is a fantastic song. Again, kind of my same thing with the last two songs with their places on Between the Buttons. I think this works much better as the opener to Aftermath. As great as a song as Painted Black is, Mother's Little Helper is a way better opener than Painted Black. It sets the mood much better. It has, when you drop the needle and you get, "What a drag it is getting old." Much better. If it's the theme of Aftermath, a lot better. It works okay on this album, but yeah, I think it works better on Same with Out of Time in the next song we're going to talk about. They worked much better on Aftermath. Speaking of next song, we get Take It or Leave It.
This is another all right song. It's got a good groove to it. I like some of the harmonies, but I think like with a good chunk of the songs on this album, like they're not bad. I think they feel like to me they're songs that kind of come in one ear and out the other. It's not in my top 5. It's a kind of, I guess it's an honorable mention if I had to rank it, but it's nothing too special in my opinion.
I like this song. It's good. It's got that xylophone in there again. I don't like it as much as Out of Time, but the chorus is extremely catchy. Just take it or leave it. Ba, 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 da, 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 da. I really like that part. It's good. I don't know if it's going to be in my top 5, but I still think it's a good song.
Yeah, I'm kind of similar to Jacob. It was an okay song. It's not one of the more memorable songs on the album, but there's so many good songs here that this kind of gets pushed towards the bottom for me. But yet, yeah, I thought it was a fine song. I don't mind it. Not every song has to be amazing. I mean, I'm fine with just an okay song every once in a while. It kind of contrasts the great stuff in some sense. And so to me, it's like I'm fine with the song, but yeah, it's not one I think about a lot.
I definitely like the song the best out of all of us. The song's amazing. Again, like I was briefly mentioning, the song works way better on Aftermath. I think it's a crime that they took this song off of Aftermath. Same with the other 3 songs. To me, it's just marketing. Like, hey, you want to hear Painted Black on an album? Here you go. It was more marketing. It wasn't trying to make like a perfect album. It was just like, hey, here's Painted Black, a hit single. Sometimes it works. It worked really well for the Hollies U.S. albums, half of the times. But yeah, it does not work for Aftermath. I think the 4 songs that they removed from the UK versions way better than Painted Black. In terms of the Contrasty album, this is no exception. This is an amazing song. I love the chorus. I love the verses. I think the instrumentation's amazing. Again, great witty lyrics. I think it works really, really well for the theme of the song. This did not make my top 5, but man, is it one strong honorable mention. Really, really good. We get to the next song on the album, Ride On Baby.
All right. I really like this one. I think this is another catchy Rolling Stones track. It's got some good guitar in it. I like the chorus really well. Ride on, baby. Ride on, baby. I don't think I have too much to add, but I think it's one of the better songs on the album. So
I don't know if Scott is with us or not.
He's out.
Okay.
You could go next.
All right. Yeah, I agree. I thought this was quite a good song. Again, it's very catchy. Like I said, a lot of these songs are really catchy. Like I'm really liking what the Rolling Stones are doing here on this album. Where I even get to this song, Right On Baby, and I'm still like, wow, like this is still, like I'm thinking they're gonna falter eventually. They're gonna get some bad songs here, and then I still get to this one towards the end of the album. I'm thinking, wow, they're still putting together some really good stuff here. It's not like top 5 material, but still pretty darn good.
I think the song's amazing. This is easily one of my favorites on the album. This is out of the 2 Baroque songs on this album, Ruby Tuesday and this song, this is, in my opinion, much better than Ruby Tuesday. It's a lot more interesting. I love the chorus. It's like one of those songs where it's just like, wow, it's, you never imagine the Stones doing a song like this. It sounds like something that like the Kinks would do for like something else, And now that you've heard something else by the Kinks, you kind of know what I'm talking about. It sounds
Right.
or like the Village Green album. It sounds like something that would be on one of those Kinks albums. Not this. This does not sound like the Stones. This was recorded for the Aftermath album, but just became an outtake. And I'm glad they put this on this album. It works really great. I love the usage on this album. It's a Briar's Comet. I really like flowers, especially when they bloom in the morning. Oh wait,
Briar.
flowers.
I'm just waiting for
Harley.
Mick Jagger to sing. I can buy myself flowers, write my name in the sand, talk to myself for hours. I cannot imagine him doing that song.
I really like this song. I like the production on it. Brian Jones is playing an instrument called the auto harp, which is an instrument that's used in early music education for children, where you just push a button and strum it, and it will strum a chord. I have to just hold down a button, and it will play a chord, and it's used to teach kids chords. So Brian Jones is just pushing the button down and strumming the chord on it, but it has this weird plink sound, like bring. And it's a very crude instrument, like it's made for children. But whenever the Rolling Stones are using it in professional rock music, I think it adds a really interesting element. They use it in this. They use it later on in You Got the Silver from Let It Bleed, which is actually the last thing Brian Jones ever played before he died with the Rolling Stones. Just interesting. Yeah, but this is a very good song.
Cool. Now we get to the last song on the album, Sitting on a Fence.
Love this song. This is one of my favorites on the album. Another folksy track from the Stones. I think it's got some good wordplay in it. A good little narrative about a heartbreak that's going on, and what's our main character doing? Just sitting on a fence. Feels like it's the Stones version now that I think about it. They're equivalent to what Otis Redding did around the same time of sitting on the dock of the bay. It just occurred to me just now. I actually think both songs are great, by the way. I think the other song Otis Redding did, there's more soul and emotion put into it. This is a catchy track. I do feel the sadness within what the lyrics, with what Mick Jagger's singing. The harmonies on here are pretty good. And I think for an album that I don't think is as strong as its predecessors, I think this was a cool way to close out the album. I'm glad the album closed out really strong.
Yeah, this song is one of the best ones on the album. They saved one of the best for last. It's a kind of a crime that this wasn't put on any of the albums before, and that they had to put it on the compilation here, but it just makes for a better album here. Like Jacob was talking about, I like the I'm just sitting on a fence theme of the song. Great way to close the album.
I agree. It's a good closer to the album. I think another really good song for them. I thought the harmonies were really good, like some of the better harmonies that I think I've heard from them, which I like. I like harmonies, so I'm always sucker if there's harmonies. And I really love the chorus here. Again, gosh, it seems like they can do almost no wrong on this album. Every song, I'm like, wow, this is pretty good too, and this is pretty good, and definitely, harder album. I guess you say a compilation. I didn't think about it. I guess it's a compilation, but now you're saying it. I guess it is because it's not new material. Is that what you're saying? So it can't be a new studio album necessarily.
I think of it like an album, but it's made up of outtakes from other sessions.
So it's
plus the big hit single at the time, "Let's Spend the Night Together" with Ruby Tuesday on the B side, and Lady Jane, which was a same sounding song from the same time.
So kind of like Magical Mystery Tour or something. Not quite.
Yeah, kind of like that. I mean, Magical Mystery Tour didn't really reuse anything on other albums, though.
That's true. Okay. So I'm not sure how to compare it, but yeah, you're right. We can't hear you, Nick. I think you're talking.
This is the Magic Bus of the album.
Magic Bus. Yeah, that's the man. I like this album a lot better than Magic Bus, though.
Yeah,
I'll have to disagree on that, but I could see where you're coming from.
I guess that maybe it's unfair because it's a compilation. They're able to put together a better group of songs or something. But man, yeah, it's really hitting here from beginning to end on this one.
I think the song is awesome. This was the second of the two outtakes from Aftermath. Um, it amazes me how Ride On Baby and Sitting on a Fence were not good enough for Aftermath, but an 11-minute blues song like Going Home was on it. I love Going Home, but I think these two songs are way better, especially this song. This is competing to be my favorite Stone song, period.
Oh
Um,
wow.
Easily the best period. Definitely the best song from the Brian Jones period of the band. Easily, I love its sort of simple nature to it. Uh, this is just staying on a fence. Love it so much. Perfect way to close out the album. I don't have a whole lot to say about it. Just beautiful song. You just got to listen to it to really get it. Um, now we reach the top 5 songs.
All right.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Oh yeah,
There's
That's
one more
right.
song we got to talk about.
that's
Who's
right.
driving your plane?
Yeah. Why did they cut this song from the album? For one thing, I would have taken this song over that crappy cover of My Girl any day.
Yeah,
This song is awesome. Jason, I doubt he would like this song because it's definitely the
Bluesy.
bluesy song that we're talking about. But I really like that sound. I think it works very well here. I like the harmonica on the track. It's got a really catchy chorus. You know, who's driving your plane? If it was on the album, it would have been on my top 5. I think this song slaps.
Funny enough, this was the B side to one of the songs you didn't like, which is
Hey,
having.
and like with, I think, like I've said with other, I think on some other videos, this is another case where I like the B side better.
it does happen. Yeah.
Yeah, this should have totally been on the Flowers album. It's a mystery to me, Fleetwood Mac Mammoth, why this isn't on the album. And My Girl, the awful cover is, as well as repeat tracks, but I've already talked about that. Um, very good. Yeah, you're just making me more upset that this isn't on the album. I made the Scott cut of Flowers. You can go listen to it on my channel if you want.
Yeah. I will mention the Jacob cut of Flowers. This is the second to last song with Sitting on the Fence, Still the Closer.
Yeah.
Mhm. I'm with you guys. This song is awesome. All of the reverb they do on the vocals. The volume of money he takes to raise you to be so useless and shy. But who's driving your plane? And it's just like you hear the reverb on his vocals, and it easily their best blues song that they ever did in the '60s. Well, actually, it's one of them. There's one particular blues song on "Let It Bleed" that's slightly better, but as of now, this is easily their best blues song. Well, before I forgot about mentioning this song, now let's go to the top 5. That was the only
Nick, when you say that there's only one blues song they do better, are you talking about the Midnight Rambler?
perhaps.
Huh?
We'll
Jason, did you get to listen to the song or no?
No.
Okay, but yeah, you probably wouldn't have liked it then.
oh, you would
Nah.
person would have hated the song. Going back to what Scott asked, you might be right. You might be right.
I can't wait to talk about that song. That song is amazing.
All right, so top 5. I'll get my dishonorable mention out of the way first. Easily My Girl. That cover sucked. I don't have any honorable mentions, but top 5. Number 5, even though I'm indifferent on it, it's an okay song. Backstreet Girls in my top 5.
All right.
Number 4, Ride On Baby. Number 3, Out of Time. Number 2, Sitting on a Fence. Number 1, Mother's Little Helper. Although I will stress, if Who's Driving Your Plane was on the album, it would have been number 4. Backstreet Girl would have been number 6, and number 5 would be Right On Baby.
Okay, so my favorite song on this album, number 1, is going to be Mother's Little Helper. Number 2 is actually going to be Backstreet Girl. I really like that one. Number 3 will be Sitting on a Fence. Number 4 is Out of Time. And number 5, Have You Seen Your Mother, Baby, Standing in the Shadow? I'm the only one who's going to have this in the top 5.
Yeah, man. A couple songs I barely missed out in top 5. I really like Let's Spin Together, Right on Baby, Sit on the Fence. Yeah, really good stuff. Did make it to my top 5. Pretty close stuff, but number 5, I'm going with Mother's Little Helper in this spot. Number 4, I'm going with Lady Jane.
You cut out.
Number 3, I did.
Yeah. You said number 4, Lady Jane. What's your number 3?
Out of Time.
Okay.
Number 2, Backstreet Girl. And number 1, Ruby Tuesday.
Yeah, you're the only one who has that as your favorite because it wasn't.
I know one's considering it, are they?
It was a top 5 on Between the Buttons.
It was in my top 3 on Between the Buttons.
Okay.
As for me, it was my least favorite on that album, and it's my least
Yeah.
favorite on this album.
What about My Girl?
I prefer My Girl just slightly over it because it's not them trying to be the Beatles. They were doing their genre, which is R&B.
It's them trying to be the Temptations.
I'm not saying they're
Yeah.
they were covering the Temptations. That's why they're trying to be them because they were
The
covering them.
Stones worked better trying to be the Beatles than trying to be the Temptations.
I disagree. I think they do the Beatles horribly. I think the Beatles are the Beatles great, and I think the Stones are the Stones best. I hate when they try to be each other. Big honorable mentions. Gonna go to Take It or Leave It. That song's awesome. My number 5 is gonna be Right On Baby. Number 4 is gonna be Backstreet Girl. Number 3 is gonna be Mother's Little Helper.
Number 3.
Number 2 is gonna be Out of Time. And my favorite song on the album is Sitting on a Fence. As for the song that wasn't on the album, that should have been on it, Who's Driving Your Plane, it would have not been on my top 5. Even though I love it, it would have just been another honorable mention.
It would have at least knocked My Girl off the dishonorable list for me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, no matter what, Ruby Tuesday is my least favorite on the album, so it wouldn't have changed that. It still would have just been an honorable mention for me. What's everyone's scores on this album?
All right. I have a feeling mine's going to be lower compared to especially Jason and Nick. But I'm going to go 7 out of 10. I think this album is a step down, especially from Aftermath and Between the Buttons. For context, I also gave 12 by 5 a 7 out of 10, their second album. So it's about on par with that album for me.
Wow.
I like 12 by 5 a little bit better. The thing that brings this album down, the repeat songs, which I don't think fit on this album. And then the cover of My Girl was terrible. And there were a couple other songs that were just or okay at best. I don't think they were up to par compared to what we got on, especially the U.S. albums of Aftermath and Between the Buttons. Still think it's a solid album overall. I still think it's worth listening to as a Stones fan, especially to get to the really great stuff. Mother's Little Helper is a great track. Sitting on a Fence. Out of Time's pretty good. Right On Baby. And the Backstreet Girl's a pretty good song. I think I'd like it more if it was on an album where the repeated Ruby Tuesday wasn't on it. I think if it wasn't, I would probably say, "Oh yeah, great song." But
UK Between the Buttons.
Yeah, I guess I have to listen to that then. But yeah, it's a fine album. It's not one of their best albums, but it was interesting to listen to.
So I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10. I'm gonna be a bit more generous. That's the same ranking that I gave December's Children, but I'm gonna put it higher than December's Children. So it's right now right between December's Children and Aftermath, under Aftermath, but over December's Children. I don't know why Jacob said he likes 12 by 5 better. I feel like this is a lot more original. But
It's all over now. Time is on my side.
I know those are all amazing
Congratulations.
songs, but I
Great
like
songs.
I like Sitting on a Fence and Mother's Little Helper and Out of Time a lot better. Even though I like when I first listened to 12 by 5, I hated it. I actually like that album now. I was gonna get it at the record store, but I got duped. Got a story about that. It looks like a mono copy, and the stereo copies are fake stereo, so I didn't want that. I grabbed it. It said mono on the sleeve. Open up, it was a fake stereo copy inside the mono. I'm like, no, and it was way up high too. So I'm like, why did I spend all that time trying to get it down just to find a fake stereo copy of this? But yeah, I'm giving it an 8.5.
Before Jason gives his score, I'm gonna give my score because I want to give out the average we got on this. I'm gonna give this a 10 out of 10. This is a perfect album for me, despite there being repeats, and despite still thinking Ruby Tuesday is one of their weaker songs. I still love the coherentness of it. I think Ruby Tuesday works way better on this album. It works much more with the theme of the album. I think it actually works better as an opening track, believe it or not, than Let's Spend the Night Together. For this album, that is, because it kind of lets you know that this is going to be a more pop-oriented album. I just really love this album. I will argue that this couldn't be a step down because this is a compilation album. But if you ask me, I much prefer the two previous albums, but I can't dock it because this is a compilation album. This isn't technically one of their albums. We're going to rank it. This is part of our reviews, but technically this is not a studio album. This is a compilation album, so can't really consider it to be a step down. I know the next album is going to be a step down for both you and Scott.
We'll see. I might give it.
I'll give it an open mind. The Satanic Cosmic Christmas album.
The psychedelic album, yeah.
Yeah. I give our average goes out to 8.5 out of 10. So
Okay.
basically, Scott.
The exact score that I gave it.
Which
That's
is
not too bad.
Yeah, I'd even have to go over or under. It just came out to 8.5.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
I don't think it's their worst album. I still put it above the debut and December's Children.
okay.
England's newest cover
after-
band.
This is the average for the three of us because this is our ongoing series.
Right. Yeah.
I'll include you in the average as well, but it won't be the official average because you're more here just to being added.
I'm a special guest.
Yeah. What do you rate this though, Jason?
So are you gonna rank this album with the other ones then at the end, or?
Yeah, we're ranking this.
Okay.
So when we do our ranking at the end, are we also going to give like an average ranking as to like
We
which ones
could.
rank the highest on average?
Yeah.
Um,
I was planning on doing that when I do the Beatles and CCR ranking on my channel.
Oh, okay.
I was planning on doing that too with the Stones.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
And then if something ties, we can all three just decide on how we want to put that in the average rank.
Yeah. I'm gonna. It's gonna be well with the averages. I'm only gonna do the ones that two who was a part of the series. So like when we do Beggar's Banquet, I have an average with all five of us, but the three of us plus Jason and Briar. But I'm only gonna count the one with the three of us because it's our series, and gonna be based on the series. But let's have Jason have his score though, keeping him from doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, I'm a special guest here, so I wouldn't be on here unless I like the album quite a bit.
Yeah.
except for Breyer. I guess Breyer likes to come on the show if he hates the album. For me, most of them on here just because it's one of my favorite. I would say it's one of my favorite albums I've heard out of Rolling Stones, and so I'm giving it a 9 out of 10 total. So I'm right above Jacob and Scott, but right below Nick on this album. Interesting enough, we all have different scores on this one, and this is. I love this era of the Rolling Stones. To be honest, like I love the, I can't think of songs now, but Get Off My Cloud, Under My Thumb, Paint It Black, Can't Get No Satisfaction. Like I do love this kind of era, this rock pop era, British rock era of the 60s period. Much more than like I don't like the bluesy rock of like Sticky Fingers and X on Main Street. Like I'm not a fan of those style of albums, but like I really like this. I love that we got some ballads in here. We get some really catchy rock tunes. Yeah, it's like I'm not the biggest Rolling Stones fan, but man, when they do this kind of stuff, I'm like I can get on board with this kind of music.
Cool. I averaged it. It still ends up being 8.5 out of 10.
Really?
It's 8.625 out of 10, but it kind of just goes to. I rounded it down to 8.
Rounded it down.
Interesting. So even with your score, it still ends up being 8.5.
I didn't change it.
Weird coincidence. Awesome album. Stay tuned for next video where the next Stones video where for me I get to review an album I've always loved, and for Jacob and Scott, as Jacob would say, peeling the Band-Aid off for them. Ripping the Band-Aid.
I don't know about that. I've not heard the album yet.
Yeah, I heard it.
I have a feeling you're gonna hate it. You're gonna be there's two sides of the album. Either you really like it or you really don't like it. I have a feeling you're gonna just by telling by your review on have you ever loved somebody, not the Holly song. Have you seen Your Mother's Baby Staying in the Shadow? Tell me about your review of that song. I could tell you're gonna hate Cosmic Christmas.
We'll find out.
If you surprise me, great. If not, I would not be surprised. You guys have anything you want to say before we close out?
Yep. If we're talking about flowers, just remember, flowers never bend with the rain.
Goodbye, Ruby Tuesday.
I can buy myself flowers, write my name in the sand, talk to myself for hours. Wait, wrong flowers.
Cool.
I guess by Sticky Fingers, they're dead flowers.
Thank you guys for watching this video. I had a blast making this. I could tell we all had a blast making this. This is a really good Stones album. See you guys in the next Stones video, and have a good one. See ya.